Hello, Paula Daniele from Crochet Hook here, and this is the long chunky crochet scarf that I'll show you how to make today. And this is a beginner pattern, and we're only using the double crochet stitch. The materials required for this project are 2 balls of the same kind of yarn, and I'm using Red Heart with Love, and the colour is Deep Blues. And this is a medium worsted weight yarn, category 4. So you need 2 balls of the same yarn, and with those yarns I'm using an 8mm crochet hook. You'll also need your scissors and a yarn needle. So to get started, we'll be using both strands from each ball of yarn, and we're going to be working them together as one. Now we're going to make a slip knot. And with your 8mm hook, you pop that through that loop there, and then just pull down slightly like that. And now we're going to make 162 chain stitches. So to make a chain stitch, just wrap the yarn over the hook and pull it through the loop. So you're going to do that 162 times. So I've done my 162 chain stitches, so that's going to be the length of this scarf. Now if you want it longer, you can add more chain stitches, it doesn't matter how many, and if you want it shorter you can take off as many chain stitches as you like. Now it won't affect the pattern at all. So for row 1 we're going to do 1 double crochet stitch into the 4th chain from the hook. So that's our first chain there, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So we want to do a double crochet stitch into that 4th chain. And there's our first double crochet stitch made. Now because we've skipped those chain stitches there at the start to make this stitch here, that does count as 1 double crochet stitch. So really when you're going to count the amount of stitches once you've completed this row, that one is counted as a stitch, that chain 3. Now to continue on with this row, we just do 1 double crochet stitch into each chain stitch. And that's all we're going to do right along the row. 1 double crochet stitch into each chain stitch across. Okay, so I've reached the end of row 1, and at the end of this row you should have 160 stitches, and that is including that chain 3 which counts as 1 stitch. So if you were counting, you would count that as your first, so 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. So you should have 160 stitches now, and you'll be working with the same amount of stitches right throughout the pattern. It won't change, you won't be adding or decreasing any. So now we're going to turn the work, and we'll be working on row 2 now. So I'll just get all of that out of the way. So for row 2, we'll start off with a chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and that chain 3 counts as 1 double crochet stitch. so you don't crochet into that stitch there, because it's like you've already done one there. So when you're doing rows of double crochet, you would always work into this next one here because of the chain 3 counting as one stitch. So now we're just going to do one double crochet stitch into each stitch across, and that's all there is to it. So one double crochet stitch into each stitch across. So I'll let you continue on making your double crochet stitches, and I'll see you at the end of this row. So I'm up towards the end of row 2, and I've still got one more stitch to make, and that is into the top of this chain 3 here. See, there's 1, 2, 3, and we're just going to do our double crochet stitch into the back loop of that third chain stitch there, and that will complete the end of row 2. Now you'll turn your work, move all of this over here, and for row 3 you'll repeat row 2. So you'll chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to do a double crochet stitch into each stitch across, right across the row. So one double crochet stitch into each stitch across, right to the end, and making sure that you make your last double crochet stitch into the top of the chain 3. Now I'm at the end of row 3 and we're ready to finish off. Although if you wanted to make your scarf wider, you can by just repeating row 2 as many times as you like. Now to finish off, just leave enough of a tail so that you can weave it in to the back of your work with a yarn needle. Just cut that there and finish off. So now we've got these two ends that we need to sew into the back of the work. Now you'll know the back of the work because the front of the work you'll see this bottom chain comes up slightly. So turn over and with one of your yarn tails just thread it through your needle and then just weave it down that first stitch there, and then you can just work your way through the bottom of the stitches with your needle to hide that tail. You can just keep going until you run out of yarn. So pulling that right through, and then you can trim that off, and then you do exactly the same with this. So once you've finished your scarf, this is what it would look like. And if you'd like to share a photo of your long chunky scarf, then feel free to do so on the Crochet Hook Facebook page.